Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, he's right. This is different. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me without it? Yeah. Okay. If you can't hear me, tell me. So, great way to start this off. I just got a mail from my head teacher telling me to not f up. So, awesome. Thank you, Graham. Yeah, my name's Jeremy. I'm the principal and owner of White Rose English School and president of J&M International Studies. As Brian said, he asked me to come and talk to everybody today about how my school was built and the connections I made, and how I feel that no matter how big or how small, if you start with one connection and you really work on that connection and support that connection, it can really lead to who knows. If you had told me 15 years ago about where I would be right now, I would have been like, yeah, right. But yeah, I'm going to get started. Question to everybody: what's the biggest connection you guys have made? Anybody want to?
My wife.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a big one. That's a big one. Any other? What's the biggest connection anyone's made? Anybody? Okay, in the front.
I guess I've made connections with kindergartens.
Kindergartens, okay. That's a good one. Well, I'd say the biggest connection, you gave my answer. First one would be my wife, actually. So, what conversation started it all? Yeah, this is the conversation that starts everything. Hey, sweetie, what kindergarten should we send our children to? So, at the time, I was working at a kindergarten in Nara. I had been there for 10 years or so, and I live in Takatsuki, so I was driving 2 hours there, 2 hours back every day. It was fun. And we were at the time, I have 3 children now, but my daughter was 2, and we were starting to think, well, which kindergarten should we send our children to? And there was 2 choices. One was the local city-run kindergarten, and the other one was a private kindergarten. And I was all for the private kindergarten because I had worked with kindergartens for 10, 11 years before that, and there's a huge difference between public and private kindergartens. You go to public kindergartens, yeah, it's not the greatest, but private kindergartens, you know, they tend to care more about the kids and about the job in general. And I really wanted to send my kids to that kindergarten because my wife and her 2 sisters were also graduates of that kindergarten. But, you know, we had been married for about 7 years at the time. We had just built a house, so we didn't really have that much money sitting around. So she's like, well, let's go to the public one. It's free. But instead of the private one, which was like, at that time, you know, almost 30,000 yen a month. It was quite expensive. But after lots of back and forth and stuff like that, we decided we would go to the private one. So going to the private one, it's called Shirobara Kindergarten, or White Rose. I know it's not white, but White Rose. But White Rose Kindergarten. And we went in the first day, and the first connection was Mr. Morita. He is the principal of that kindergarten. And he is probably, for better or worse, one of the best, biggest connections I've ever made in my life. And it's been a lot of work and a lot of things. I don't know who that young guy is giving peace there, but it was a long time ago. We sent our daughter to the kindergarten, and I got to meet him. And on the first day, he walked up to me and talked to me in English. Oh, hi, how are you? And he actually speaks English. And the good thing, he's really interested in English education. And at that time, at their kindergarten, they had ECC coming like once a month, the typical let's sing and dance in English, and that's it, it was done. So over a while, he and I were chatting, we became good friends, and by the time my daughter was grade 2, he and I started Otosankai, which is like the fathers group, where you gather a bunch of fathers, and we did a bunch of things like, you know, grilling sausages for the kids and kind of doing food. This one here, we all got together and we did a booth at the local city fair, started, you know, building connections with a lot of fathers at the kindergarten, and just with that point, knowing all those fathers, so many fathers have there's so many different jobs and occupations for all these fathers that you really start to build a lot of connections. You can see in the middle photo there, we got together and we went to eat crab one day on the Sea of Japan because we were all kind of getting good friends. And then Mr. Morita and I, his family and my family, our kids are about the same age. We started to get really, you know, really good really friendly, and we became quite good friends, actually. He and I started talking because at the time I was at a different kindergarten, and how would we expand English at his kindergarten? So he and I would talk back and forth about English and stuff like that. And then an opportunity arose. The kindergarten I was working at was really far away. Literally, it's 4 hours driving every day. And I was pretty much done. I had been there for 11 years. I was really tired of the drive. And he invited me, well, why don't you work here at his kindergarten? So his kindergarten is Shirobara Kindergarten. It's a kindergarten that's got 60 years of history. There's 500 students at it. It's a really, really big kindergarten. So I quit my old job, and from April of 2010, I think it was, I became staff, a full-time staff member at this kindergarten, and my responsibility was building the curriculum there. So I became his assistant and the English manager, and I built the curriculum there from scratch, essentially, and also started their after-school program. Here's another young picture of me, and everybody calls it my Starbucks apron. I can see it. And a lot of the kids would come up with me, coffee, please, you know. It was really, really, really cute. So for the next few years, we started building everything. Oh, thank you. I need that. Water. But yeah, I built the curriculum there, and over the next few years, we started after-school program there as well, and started with 20 kids. That was going to be only the final year, what's called Nencho at the kindergarten, the final year kids, and it slowly built from there. And because of my connection to him, I also built a connection to his father, which was the owner of the kindergarten. And he's now 80-something. He's a really great guy. And he wanted me to do more after-school stuff. So we really did a lot of the after-school program. We built it. I built it more and more. We started with 20. After 3 years, we had 150. And originally, we were going to just do the final year of kindergarten and let them graduate. But the kids wanted to continue. So next thing you know, we're doing up to grade 1. And then we're doing up to grade 2. And then now we're up to grade 3. And then one day, his father comes up to me. And he's like, there's too many elementary school kids here. I hate it. Because by then, we were doing classes till like 6:30 at night. It's getting dark. The kids are supposed to go home, but they're still playing in the middle of the ground and stuff like that. So I understood. And then the kindergarten's accountant was there as well. And he's kind of like, you need to do something. Where does the kindergarten and after-school program, the money, the back and forth was really confusing for him. You need to do something. So what we decided to do at the start is we started a separate company, which was J&M International Studies, which is my company, but the J is Jeremy, the M is Masahiro, which is Mr. Morita's name. So I am the president, he was the director, and we started the company together to help separate stuff. And then not only that, because he was so frustrated with so many elementary schools, literally we had like 150 kids coming over the week, and he got quite frustrated with that. So the kindergarten had land 1 minute away that was growing weeds. It was supposed to be the backup parking lot, but it was never used. It was just overgrown with weeds. So he said, let's build something together. We'll go 50-50. The kindergarten pays half the money. You can pay half the money. I'm like, okay. Can't be that bad, right? What do we do? Our next connection, Mr. Morita and myself were a member of the JCI, the Japan Commerce and Industry Group. And there was a woman in there, Mrs. Horibe, who is an architect. And she's actually she's built a few other, not schools, but houses and buildings more related to children. So you can see some of their designs here. We got talking to them, and we set up a meeting. So yet another connection. Now I have a connection to this professional architect. Cool. I could use this not only for that, but maybe in the future for something else. So we had our first meeting, and I explained, well, this is what I want. I would be happy with just a prefabricated square. You know, it doesn't really matter. If it's a room, I'm happy. It doesn't have to be anything. You know, I'm putting up half the money. I don't want it to be too expensive. And okay, well, I would like, first and foremost, getting parents in and out by car has always been an issue at the kindergarten because there's so many kids in and out, the parking lot's crowded. It's a very small road that leads in there. So first and foremost, I wanted a drive-through situation. That way, if the English school ever failed, we could do a McDonald's, right? So drive-through. So I gave my idea. This is what I want to do. This is what I would like, drive-through. You know, I wanted 1 floor, but Mr. Morita's father said, no, you're going to probably need space. Let's do 3 floors. 3 floors. That sounds expensive. Anyway, so we're talking to them. They come back to us 3 weeks later with the first design idea. That. And I'm like, cool. We're not building that. There's no way. That's pretty awesome. Okay. So we started going along, thinking ideas, well, how can we do it? And, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. They came back a few weeks later with an updated design, an updated model. Things progressed over the next month, month and a half. I'm still like, yeah, this is not happening. There's no way this is happening. That, first and foremost, that looks expensive. You know, I don't have that much money sitting around. This should be fun. But yeah, go on. Then we need to decide, okay, which construction company are we going to use for this? We need to really think about this because after service is important. And yet another connection, because of my connection to the kindergarten has many connections in the local neighborhood. In particular, Kosaka Construction Company, which is the company that actually built the kindergarten. And so they have lots of history with the kindergarten. They have history with me as well because we've talked back and forth about, you know, renovation things that we had to do at the kindergarten. So we were talking to them back and forth, and we ended up going with them. It was a little bit more expensive option, but their after service is great. No matter what happens, they would come. And more connections. When you're going to build something, you have to do what's called chichinsai, or the land blessing. What do we use for that? Well, interesting enough, I had a part-time Japanese teacher. Her name is Chiaki. She's still with us now. Her husband is a priest at the local shrine. So cool. So we talked to him. And it's called Nomi Shrine. It's the shrine that all three of my children went to for their shichiko-san, 3, 5, 7-year-old, when you go pray for their health. And her husband came and did the blessing for free. It's usually, to do that blessing for that amount of land, it probably would have cost about $7,000 or $8,000. He did it for free. Thank you. Good connection there. So we still do all this. I'm still like, again, we're not building this. There's no way. Next thing you know, construction has started, and then they've built the first floor, they've been doing the second floor, and it was going on and on. More challenges appeared, more connections. The biggest one, the location that my school is in is actually right next to Takatsuki Park, which used to be Takatsuki Castle, actually. And it turns out this location in particular is where they used to park the ships. So the land is really, really soft. So there was an issue. They have to dig 300 holes about this big, 10 meters down, take all the dirt out, mix it with a kind of concrete, and put it back. Now here's the issue. There could be artifacts. There could be things that could interfere. If something like an arrowhead came up, we'd have to stop construction. But because of my connection to the fathers group and to a couple of the people in the area, they worked for the city. And they promised me no matter what came up, it would be fine. And actually, day one, something came up. A little piece of metal like this big. Like you could mistake it for a piece of a paperclip came up. It turns out it was like some old bow and arrow thing like that. But because of the connection, it was fine. They just paid attention to it. Construction continued as expected. The next issue, in our area, you're not allowed to build more than 10 meters. If you want to go over 10 meters, you need to talk to the city and to the people and have all these meetings. It's annoying. So we stopped at 9.999999. It's like right on the limit. And because it's under that, we don't have to do any explanation to the neighbors. But because I'm connected to the kindergarten, we decided to have one big meeting with all the neighbors. That was a mistake. We tell them, oh yeah, we're building a big school. They're like, no. We don't want that many kids. How many kids? Oh, about 200. What? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But, and to make it worse, the guy that lives next to us just happened to be the president of one of the other construction companies that we turned down. And he was, I would say vindictive, doesn't cover it. But again, connections from the fathers group and from the principal and from me as well. We knew a local politician. We knew 2 people who worked at the city office who helped get through all of that. It was a slog. It was difficult. 10 months later, we had the school. It was built. Awesome. You know, it's really a great school. And then the bill came. So thankfully, again, connections to the kindergarten, and we had talked about this back and forth. By the time we got to the final, expectation of what it is, I could cover maybe 30%. My money covered 30%. But because I had such a good connection with Mr. Moneta and his father, family connections, they fronted the rest. So they paid their part, I paid my part. And over the past 10 years, just by paying essentially rent, paid off the rent. So the building is now currently 100% mine. It's all been paid off. So it's great. So we have the school, we have the parking lot. Great. There's nothing in it. So you have to furnish it and stuff like that. So my original thing is I'll just go to Nitori, buy a bunch of stuff at Nitori. But Nitori stuff, it's inexpensive, yes, but it breaks. But again, more connections. We needed to come up with logo. We needed to come up with shirts. We needed to come up with our uniform, which I forgot to take out. Here's our uniform. We have uniform on the front, our logo, white rose on the back. Where did we do all this? Well, again, more connections to the kindergarten and to the local neighborhood because I had put so much effort into maintaining connections with even the local neighbors. There was one of the neighbors who actually runs a logo company, and he did all our logos for half off. So that was really nice as well. The kindergarten uses kindergarten only companies for uniforms and materials and stuff like that. So where was it? And all these connections through the kindergarten as well, and all through the hard work of me maintaining those connections, we were introduced to logo companies, we were introduced to furniture companies and stuff that only kindergartens use. Like it's called Jakuetsu, Hikari no Kuni, and the big one is Bravero, which is like the Anpanman company. And because of that, I could order from them. It's expensive. Like if you go to Nitori and buy a chair, it's maybe 5,000 yen. If you go to this company and buy a chair, it's real wood, it's really nice. One chair is like 20,000 yen. It's expensive, but it's guaranteed for 30 years. And it's got to be safe because they're going to be used at kindergartens. So that introduction, I was able to buy really nice. And this building, you can't put cheap stuff in it. If I bought a shelf from Nitori, it lasted like 3 weeks, and it doesn't suit the building at all. So you got to buy really nice stuff. But again, it's all lasted for so long. And because it's really good material, all the stuff I bought in the first year, we're still using now. And it still looks great. And if there's ever an issue, it breaks or something like that, they'll replace it for free or fix it for free. So having those connections as well is really, really nice. So building on that, we had 200 kids. We now have 698 kids just at this one location. Finding teachers, that's not fun. I started, is he here? Jobs in Japan? Yes. Oh, there you are, right there, right in front of me, Peter. Found my first job, Graham, on Jobs in Japan site 11 years ago. He's still my teacher. He's my head teacher. He's over there with his hands against the fake fire in the picture. So because of that, we build the connections, uniforms, pamphlets, flowers, everything we were able to get moving. And then because of that, another connection to the kindergarten, I wanted to start a preschool for 2-year-olds because our school was busy in the afternoon, but we had nothing in the morning. It was just sitting there empty. And that's kind of a waste of space. So I wanted to start a preschool. But I just kind of iffy. But our kindergarten uses Cosmo Sports Club. It's a big Japan-wide company. And his president is also a connection to me and to Mr. Morita. And I remember the first time I was talking about this, he's like, just do it. What's wrong with you? You have this connection. You have space. You're an idiot. And he's Japanese. He told me his exact words, just do it. Wow. He's a scary guy. He's like a president of this big, huge company who just said, just do this. So, okay, I did it. Again, our play area, our tables, all that from a company called Jakuetsu. Again, connections from the kindergarten. They're not cheap at all. But again, all these have lasted for the past 11 years that we've been doing it. This table, when you put it on the side, it becomes a bench. So it's got multiple uses. Lunch. Again, the kindergarten has their own lunch company, which they introduced me to. And by building a relationship with them over 2 years, they agreed to send lunch to us as well. So we were able to continue to build more connections there and more there. And at the bottom, it says, I was happy to have stopped there. We have a kindergarten. We have the 2-year-olds. We have the after-school stuff. We have our bit of our international school starting. Cool. I'm happy. We're good. Oh, boy. Hess. I don't know if anyone's heard of them. They're a huge international school in Taiwan. Have you heard about them? Yes. Hess International Education Group. They have a couple thousand campuses in Taipei. They have in China, they're in Korea, they have in Indonesia, the Philippines, Africa. They've started some in US and Canada. And again, another connection from the kindergarten. One of the fathers just happened to hear me talking, man, I wish we had a better textbook series than Let's Go. Because we were using Let's Go at the time. And it was a good series, but I wanted something else. He's like, here we go, I got this. And he introduced me to one of our connections in Hesse. So we flew over to Taiwan, and we were there for a week, and we met with them, talking back and forth, started building our connection. It took 2-3 years to build our connection with them, flying to Taiwan multiple times a year. Yes, it costs money to do all this, but who knows what it might result from. And that's kind of the whole point of my presentation today is even just one connection, you don't know where it'll lead. It might lead to a cliff. You don't know. It might lead to something great. It might lead to a whole telephone network of things that spread out. So it's always important to maintain all your connections. It's hard. You know, I have like a contact list of like 300 people at the moment who I have to stay in contact with every month or so. So it's difficult, but we ended up going over there, becoming a good relationship with them. You know, got to play in their ball pool, which is really nice. What connections did it make? Well, it allowed us to make a textbook deal with them. So we decided this school has a huge history of making their own textbooks. And after talking back and forth, we made the Beyond the Sky series, which is my series in connection with them. And because of my connection with them, we got connections to professional artists, printing studios. You know, they do everything in Taiwan, which is really inexpensive, and then I import everything. So we've made up to books 8 now, which we use for our international classes and our after-school stuff. So we made textbook material. And also, because of that, they really wanted to expand their textbooks into Japan. And Japan, for a foreign company, especially Taiwan or China, especially now, as you can expect, is really difficult to get into. So we were there in between, essentially, and I became their sole textbook supplier in Japan. So I went to using those connections, and because I was connected to the kindergarten, and because of Mr. Morita and myself would go to all these kindergarten meetings and stuff like that to build more connections to kindergartens all over Kansai, we began selling these books to other kindergartens. So we sell textbooks, curriculum, stuff to kindergartens, not international schools, regular Japanese kindergartens. And if anybody knows Japanese kindergartens, trying to make any connections, any progress with a Japanese kindergarten, especially an old one, is slower than a molasses in the middle of a Canadian winter. Any Canadians in here? Okay, you know what I'm talking about. That stuff don't move. So because of those connections that I had made previously, many other principals in Kansai knew who I was. They knew our system at Shirobara Kindergarten. They knew how it worked. They came to see it. We had many guests, and so those connections continued to spread out. Currently, at the moment, we have 17 kindergartens in Kansai, 1 in Fukushima, 2 in Hiroshima, and 1 in Kagoshima using our textbooks and our stuff, all because of, again, my connection to one place. So we were able to build out with that. How long to get contracts? As I said, it takes literally a long time. I think the one in Hiroshima took 5 years before I finally got their curriculum or their contract signed. The earliest one was one in Daito City, which was literally took 2 days. It was fast. And then, of course, how to nurture those. Even if you think it's not going anywhere, continuing to maintain the contacts with them, maintain your communication, even if it's just like, hi, how are things going? Oh, you started a new something at your kindergarten. How did it go? And that back and forth really builds trust, really builds connections. And then because you're connected to that kindergarten, you are then get connections to other kindergartens. Like one of my customers, Tenno Kindergarten in Suita City, they're a big kindergarten. They use our system in the morning, they use our system in the afternoon, and then they're building 2 other kindergartens right now, and they want us to do their English because we've already got the connection with them. So building those connections is really important. Trying to get your foot in the door, as they say. Once your foot is in the door, keep it there because if you move your foot at all, you're screwed. And then staff as well. Anyone running a school knows how hard it is to find good quality teachers. just trying to find them sometimes, especially during Corona, it was like impossible. But because of my connection to Hess, they're a huge company. They bring in hundreds and hundreds of staff to Taiwan every year, put them through their huge training program. And I mean, it's a massive training program. I went through it. And it's really informative. It's really great. You can see us there at one of their end-of-year parties where all the staff come. I talked to them. We had a communication back and forth. Any of their staff that had been there longer than a year who wanted to come to Japan, that they would introduce us. So they basically vetted people. They said, oh, there's a school in Japan who's interested in hiring people. Anyone interested? We got like 1,000 people ask. Holy crap. But they were really nice. It was their staff. They knew them. So they vetted it down to 5 people. So I flew over to Taiwan again. And because of those contracts, I ended up hiring 2 of them. So anytime I need more full-time staff, I usually get them from Taiwan. And the staff that I get from Taiwan are excellent. And because of that, I've made other connections to other schools. If they want teachers, I'm able to usually provide them with the contacts needed to get it. And then, of course, more connections. We all know what it's like to try and find an apartment in Japan. For us foreigners, first time in Japan, what do you need? Oh, I want an apartment. Okay, you need a phone and a bank account. Okay, I need a bank account. Well, you need an address. You want a phone? Oh, you need an apartment. You need a bank account. You need all this stuff, and it's impossible. But my friend, Mr. Monita, his father, also runs a real estate company. So he owns many apartments all over the Kansai area, in particular in Tamatsukuri on the Loop Line, which is where his kindergarten originally started 80 years ago. And because that area ran out of kids, they moved to Takatsuki to build a building there. So because of that, he let us rent, as a company, we rented 5 apartments there for half the cost of what it normally costs. And then we furnished it, and the staff were able to live there. And then we did basically 60% we paid, and the staff paid the other 40%. So they were paying maybe 20,000 yen a month for rent. And then they had to pay everything else. So, and then getting visas, visas are the fun stuff. So, connection. Oh, by the way, this guy just happens to know this guy, who might happen to know this guy. So making these connections and maintaining them is super important. Even in the local area, for my school, they were so against us building the school. So to continue to have good relationships and connections to everybody in the local neighborhood, I really do a strong job on the parking lot. We have flowers. I make sure it's clean. We make sure it's very bright and lit up so that, and I have great relationship with all the neighbors now. When it's cleaning day, we're out there, cleaning up together, making sure that they enjoy it. So finally, all these connections or all these things, various companies, we make connections to them, various principals all over Japan, you get connections, international connections, and because of that, from this year, we're doing Taiwan camps. We're going to take 17 families in March to Taiwan for the first time because Hess just happened to have started their own camp. This big area that used to be owned by the government, they bought, and now it's a huge campground they made for hiking and stuff like that. So we're taking kids overseas with their help, all with that. All of this started with one simple connection. Which kindergarten shall we go to? And then meeting Mr. Morita. So hopefully you found this interesting. Thank you. So biggest thing, connections. Don't lose your connections. And it may lead to somewhere, it may not, but it's never a wasted effort to try it. We still got a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Jeremy, how are you maintaining those connections? Is it just emails, calls, take them out for a drink?
Mostly line. Line back and forth. And I once a month for my customers, I go see them. Except for the one in Fukushima and Hiroshima, I go once every 3 months, or I send my head teacher to see them. In Taiwan, it's usually Zoom calls every couple months because we're building on the next textbook series, stuff like that. But the biggest one, maintaining those connections, is like sending a line every so often, say, hi, how are you? Especially kindergartens. October 1st, super important for kindergartens. That's Gansho Ketsuke. It's when people who want to go to that kindergarten from April, it's the application day. So once that day is finished on the 2nd, sending a message, how was it? How many kids joined? Is huge. They feel you care. So mostly line back and forth is the biggest one, I think.
And a bit of a follow-up to that. Do you do it very systematically? Do you have like a spreadsheet of connections?
Yeah, I have a Excel file that if it got deleted, I'd be so screwed. But I don't really rank them by importance. I rank them by how long they've been with us. And it doesn't matter if they're a huge kindergarten of 500 kids or a small kindergarten of 30, they're all equally important to me. So yeah, I have an Excel file that just tells me, so I can't keep a track in my head. Just this is the kindergarten, this is where it is, this is stuff. And then anytime I've made a contact with them, I'll put a little check, just make sure I haven't forgotten. Sometimes they'll, hey, haven't heard from me in a while. They'll do the opposite, but yeah, mostly it's my main Excel file and my contact list on my phone, which is too big. Yes?
What about like your personalities? What about your personalities? That's what I wanted to ask.
Well, that's a big one too.
To be able to maintain these, because you do it so very naturally, and some people do.
At the beginning, not so much. I've kind of got used to it now, but just going into it, making sure, number one, Japanese kindergartens, what they want. They want a smile. They want happy, cheerful, hey, everybody, how's it going? To the kids. Walk in. As soon as you walk in, oh, hey, how's it going? Happy, smiling. And then to maintain those relationships, being happy. No matter, even if they say no or please wait next while, oh, then we can try again next year. No worries. Just try to keep it light and try and, stay happy. And yeah, personality is a big part of it too. If you walk in, it's like, but yeah, just trying to be happy and cheerful and smiling and stuff, I guess.
Sorry, do you find yourself like a naturally happy, cheerful person, or is it something you had to adopt?
I had to adopt it
Yeah.
because I'm sure anyone here knowing dealing with other customers and stuff, like dealing with staff, it's frustrating. Dealing with parents, it's frustrating. There are days at the end of the day, why the hell did I want to do this? But I mean, it does make it worthwhile if you try to stay positive about it. Because at the end of the day, as long as you work at it, it usually works out. I think one thing my mother told me, as long as you do your best, it doesn't matter if you fail or not. Just stay positive, stay happy, and just do your best, I guess. Yes?
Do you find parents different nowadays compared to, say, 15, 20 years ago?
Oh yeah, parents nowadays. And I would say parents too. Normal parents who just send their kids to kindergarten, they're fine. The parents who are really interested in English and the international, they're all scary. Yeah. It's different. It's just different. So learning how to talk to parents, no matter how many times they talk, I guess what's a good example? We had one guy who I've tried to forget all these years, who he's on blacklists for airline companies. Okay? So I don't remember exactly what set it off, but something set it off that he suddenly said, we don't like this, you need to change this, we don't like it. And he said, if you don't change it, I'm going to sue you. Wow. What the hell? Okay. And it was just because one kid bugged his son. That's it. And he didn't like the way that one of my teachers handled it. So went to his house, because that's what he demanded, and I apologized and said it would never happen again, I'll do my best. He thinks we're good friends now, but maybe he thinks so. We're not. I hate him, but again, it's better him to think that other than, oh crap, he's coming after us or something like that. There's always people like that. And let's say we're dealing with kindergartens every 3 years. There's one person that pops up. The newest one, Mr. Hidetaka, great kid, parents suck. Normal things that happen in day-to-day life for kids is they fight, they argue, they bump into each other. Apparently, him coming to our English program has given him PTSD. That a doctor at some hospital said, yeah, introduce me to this doctor, I want to talk to him. The kid's happy. He's like, oh, he sees this kid, he freaks out. No, he doesn't. He asks him to play. But yeah, parents, dealing with parents, yeah, it's just important. Stay positive, stay happy. I mean, everyone here, I'm sure, knows how parents are. You have great parents, you have monster parents, you have, I don't care, here's my kids, see you in an hour parents, But yeah, the parents have changed a lot recently, so.
Good question. So a lot of us, like, who have businesses, our partners also are a part of our business.
Yes.
And also the Japanese language barrier, like, how, do you take care care of everything? Is your wife a part of it as well?
Apparently, Siri thinks so.
Right.
Nice. I do, at the beginning, it was about 50-50. I did most of the in-person stuff. And then Mr. Monita, both of us had never run a company before. Once we found our accountant and we started figuring stuff out, he handled that side at first. But now, the M in J&M is no longer part of the company because he wants to do his other stuff. So it's just me, I do everything now. And anything that I might find difficult, which is only like the last 5%, my wife helps as well. Because my wife is Japanese, so she helps. But I think my Japanese is pretty much good enough I can handle 99% of it. Because my accountant is scary, and if it's not me, he won't talk to anybody else. Right. So, I do about pretty much all of it now these days. Great, it's 25. Oh, yes, go ahead.
How many hours do you work?
Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that. No, it's actually not bad. My school is 42 weeks a year. So we follow the kindergarten schedule. So yeah, I work 8 to 8 every day, Monday to Friday. We're closed Saturdays and Sundays. We have 3 weeks off in summer, 2.5 weeks off in winter, and 2 weeks in spring. Because my school follows the kindergarten schedule. So we're closed for 3 weeks in summer. We're not there. We're gone. So yeah, we work long hours. My full-time staff too, they work 7 to 7. But kindergarten in the morning, international school, after-school lessons in the afternoon. But we have 10 weeks of paid holidays a year. So it's worth it, I think. Great, I'm around. If anyone needs questions later, please ask me. So.